Hey, good for you. You made it to part 2 of episode 32 of The Dribble, or maybe you just skipped part 1 because you didn't want to hear Hope's Hotel. Either way, welcome to part 2. We have Timmy KGB, aka T-Bone Steak, extra rare, coming on for Major Wager. In this episode of Major Wager, we are going to talk about team futures. Yes, we're going to talk about over-under win totals for a few teams. We'll do a draft, and we're going to talk MVP award, and who we think will hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy in 2025. Plus, one wildcard pick that we each pick. And yeah, we're putting $500 down in this first week. We're going big on Major Wager this year, so stay tuned and enjoy, because this is The Dribble.
Banner number 18 has been secured. The Celtics are NBA champions.
Heyo, Timmy KGB. Welcome back to The Dribble. Major Wager is back. New season of the NBA. How you doing, buddy?
We're back, baby. I'm fired up.
Fired up.
Great. Yeah, man. We had Game 5 WNBA last night. We got the season starting tomorrow for the NBA. You know, World Series about to pop off. We got football. I love it, man. It's a great time of year.
Yeah, that was a great game last night. Shout out to the New York Liberty for winning their first WNBA championship. That was the original franchise, obviously, in the WNBA. That was a good game. That was a nail biter overtime.
It was a weird game, man. It was like a crazy game. But yeah, the whole series was awesome. And yeah, we were locked in. First time ever really like tuning into the WNBA playoffs. And it was great, especially the finals. So yeah.
Good for basketball. Well, like you said, we got the NBA season starting tomorrow, Tuesday. Obviously, the Celtics against the Knicks in Boston. Banner night, ring ceremony, new look Knicks, the non-Nova new look New York Knicks, whatever you want to call them. That's going to be an exciting one. And then also Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves go to LA tomorrow night to kick it off as well, to face LeBron James and the Lakers. But let's get some money moving. Last year, I won Major Wager. You know, not a big deal. Came down to Game 5 against the Mavericks. That kind of really put me over the top. But I'm going to reveal at the end what jersey I want as my prize for winning Major Wager.
Right.
Okay? Because to be honest, I actually haven't even figured out which one I want. It's going to be a game time decision. But I think I have it between
I'm not
two
really
people.
dwelling on the past. You know, I'm more sort of focused on the future and this year. So, you know.
Well, speaking of futures, let's talk about futures. Let's talk about win totals for teams. That's what I want to do. Let's place a few bets. I say we put some heavy money down. We're going to start with 1,000 like we did last time, but let's put 500 down on a few different futures. I say we start with some win totals. We'll do a draft system where we take different teams' win totals right now, over, under. We'll each take 5 back and forth, and then we'll also do MVP. And then let's do a pick 'em, any kind of award in the future that you see that you want to pick. And then also let's cap it off by picking who's going to be champion in 2025 when June rolls around. So let's go ahead and start with the over-unders. So like I said, $500, and you can distribute that $500 however you want through this entire process. Do you mind if I start with the win totals?
Why don't you start, Luke? It's your show. You won last year. I feel like you've earned that right.
Thank you. I was going to say that, but wanted to make sure we were both on the same page. So a lot of the win totals actually I like. Usually I'm not a big fan of what the lines are when they come out, but these lines are pretty good. I don't disagree with a lot of them. There is one that I mentioned earlier. I did Hope's Hotel before you came on, and there's a team that I like a lot that I think is being underrated, even though they're in the West. And the West is, of course, tougher competition, really deep. There's going to be a lot of people fighting, scratching, and clawing for those 9, 8, 7, 6 seeds in the West. I'm taking the Kings over 46.5 wins. This is plus 100 odds. So, you know, not the best, but it is plus odds. So I'm doing this because of DeMar DeRozan. He is incredible. This offense is going to be great. They're going to be a little bit lackluster on defense, but his clutch shooting and clutch performance with the Bulls is just unmatched. And if they're in close games down the stretch, he's just going to win them like 10 more games that they didn't win last year. He led the league in scoring in clutch situations with 550 points. He or 182 clutch points, 550 points in the fourth quarter and overtime, which led the league. He shot 50% from the field in the clutch, and he led the Bulls to a 27-17 record in close games. So he just is, he's that guy. He's him down the stretch. And then you add him with Swiper, De'Aaron Fox, and obviously Sabonis and those guys. And I just think that offense is going to be so tough to contend.
I love that pick. Yeah, I looked it over. I kicked the tires on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Thought about it for a minute, almost picked it. I mean, you said earlier, like the West is just so much deeper. It's definitely the deeper conference this year. And, I could certainly see, what's the win total that you said for them? It's 46.5?
46.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I could certainly see them exceeding that. What'd they win last year? Do you know? Did you make a note of that?
I did not see what they won
Somewhere around
last
that,
year.
right?
I can look
We
it
can
up.
look that up. But yeah, they got better, right? Like they essentially swapped out Harrison Barnes for DeMar DeRozan, which is a clear upgrade. We love DeMar DeRozan. We played against the Raptors a lot, when he was in town, and the Celtics, I mean. And yeah, he's a gamer. So I agree. I think that team got way better, and I like it. The conference got better too, so we'll see. But like you said, the win totals feel really spot on this year. There were like very few where I felt it was like we had a big edge.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good pick. I like it.
So looking at their record from last year, I'm feeling even better about this pick. They had 46 wins last year.
Yeah,
and
there you go.
That's without DeMar. And like I said, I think he's going to get them 5 to 10 extra wins just with that clutch gene that he has. And I'm putting $50 on all of my future win totals. So moving forward, I'm putting 50 on this with a plus 100 odds. But that's my first pick in the win totals over under. Who do you have?
I like it, Luke. Let's see. I'm going in no particular order. This is like not the order that I feel most confident in. It's just the order that I wrote them down. First, NBA over under. Give me the Atlanta Hawks under 36.5 wins.
Let's go. I like that.
Let's see. Last year, the Hawks won 36 games. So sort of like the Kings won. This is hovering around what they won last year. Obviously, they lost to DeJounte Murray. He's gone to New Orleans. They drafted Zachary Sachet, who I think is going to be a project. We'll see if he contributes right off the bat, but I sort of doubt it. Brought in Dyson Daniels, Larry Nance Jr. How did this team not get worse? Like in what I would argue is a better conference. This team, the win total is right around what they won last year. They lost again. Their second best player, and I know Murray took a lot of like criticism last year as well as Trae Young. But say what you want, but he was averaging 22 points a game, and they lost that. And I still think Murray's a good player, and he's going to help this year in New Orleans. But
yeah,
so yeah, I think this team got markedly worse. You've lost a guy who stabilized the offense when Trae was out. And yeah, I think this feels like a team that's winning in the low 30s. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes south, this team starts to tank at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I think the logic here is that they got better defensively, and we'll see, because obviously they were atrocious. But yeah, I don't really see it. This was one of the only ones that really stuck out to me. Is like, wow, I can't believe the Hawks total is not closer to 32. So yeah, I like this one. This one's minus 110, so pretty much even odds. But yeah, I had to grab this one.
No, that's great. I like that one a lot too. I'm super down on the Hawks. I think Murray kept them afloat a lot last year. I'm not a Trae believer. A lot of people are. I just don't think he's going to be able to, bring them there. You mentioned, I think, DeAndre Hunter. I like DeAndre Hunter. He's great. But again, not someone who's going to bring you to a ton of wins. I just think also the East is stronger than it has been in the last few years too. I think both conferences, there's just so much talent that has really gotten experience over the last few postseasons, and just like have kind of ramped up and gotten a great base. So I think it's going to be harder to get those wins in the East too. I just think I like that pick a lot. And that was, what is the odds on that? You said minus 110?
Just minus 110. Yeah.
Okay. All right. My second one is another team in the West. I'm sticking out West here. I have the Mavs under 49.5 wins.
Okay.
Under 49.5. That's plus 100 odds. Like I said, putting $50 down on that. Here's my reasoning. Fresh off of a finals loss, a lot of teams, when they go to the finals and they lose in the finals, they have a pretty down year the next year. Luka is Luka Magic. We're going to talk about MVP later. Maybe he's my MVP pick. We'll see. He's a lot of people's pick. But you get rid of Derrick Jones Jr., who is a great defensive player, and you add Klay Thompson, who is on the tail end of his career, hasn't shot well over the past few seasons, and cannot move his feet quite the way that he's been able to in the past. So you lose defense, and you gain kind of an old spot-up shooter Derek Lively, I think another year with him, he's amazing. I love Derek. I think he will improve. He had a great rookie season. But it's going to be, I think the team is going to see some slight turmoil. And then also it's the first full year with Kyrie. And I just like don't know how much I trust Kyrie to be there. I just don't. I just part a little.
Kyrie was there for the full year last year, right?
Oh, he was. I thought
yeah,
he
they got
traded
him mid-season 2 years ago. But still,
mid-season 2 years
you're
ago.
right. You're right to question the Kyrie experience at all,
right?
Any time. Yeah.
Well, either way, I question that. I question Clay. I question some of the pieces. You get rid of one of your perimeter defenders in Derrick Jones Jr. And in today's NBA, you just need a long perimeter defender. And then, of course, like I said, coming off of a tough gentleman's sweep in the finals, 49.5 is under 50. So I'm kind of surprised the odds are what they are at plus 100. They thought they'd be a little bit better, but I'm thinking that they're going to hit below that mark.
Yeah, I like it. It's another one I thought about. I don't really know. I could see this going either way. I could see the Mavs being like near the top of the conference and winning in the mid 50s or even higher, or I could see them falling below this. There's a team I like better in this conference to fall a little more than the Mavs. We'll see though. Like you said, the Kyrie thing. It's like there is an assumption that it's going to go as well as it went last year. And again, there's no real reason to not feel that way. I think it's a good pick. I think that you could see this team winning a few less games, getting under 50. Yeah, I like it.
Well, the thing about Kyrie too is everything was kind of green pastures. The first, like you said, it was 2 years ago. First time he just got there, not too much of expectations. And then all season last year, things were going well. In the playoffs, things were going well. And then he hit Boston and he was not there for Luka. And Luka's a competitive guy. And Kyrie just simply did not step up. And so you can just see if they have some early turmoil in the season, you can see Kyrie and him button heads. We know that they're both strong personalities, and I'm just seeing a little negative thing there. But yeah, that's my second one. What do you got?
Okay. Let's stay out west.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I went with an under for my first one. I'm going to go with an over for this one. Memphis Grizzlies over 47.5.
I like it.
I love this one.
Yeah.
I love this one. So this is an obvious pick. I think a lot of people are picking this too. But they won 27 games last year. Throw that out, right? Last year really is not an indicator of who this team was. Obviously missing John Morant, missing Marcus Smart, the worst injury luck like ever. So we throw out those results. But look at 2 years ago. That's a 51-31 team. I expect them to be closer to that this year. So the difference is obvious, right? You're getting Ja back, hopefully for a full season. Hopefully he's there and he returns to the sort of form he was in before he had to miss some time. Getting Marcus Smart back, right, from injuries, and we'll see how he fits in there. But I think he fits in with the culture of that team and the sort of, gritty nature of that team, obviously, really well. We're big Marcus Smart lovers here. Drafted Zach Edey. We'll see. We'll see how a sort of more traditional post player functions in this offense and in the NBA in general. But they're not going to be relying on him to do too much. But he will play a lot. And I like Zach Edey personally, and I believe we made some money off of him gambling on Purdue last year. So, but I like the draft. And then I think this team is obviously a playoff team. The question is, like, are they a 50-win team, or are they hovering around that total? And I see them as that team. So I like this over. I mean, it feels really low at 47, honestly. I know that's crazy because it's 20 more games than they won last year. But, they've gotten guys like Bane has only gotten better. I think there's a couple things, Triple J, we wonder about his durability and his health and stuff like that. So it's not a safe pick. Obviously, this team has to stay healthy, and we have to see how Ja looks and how the team gels together. But this pick assumes that there'll be some health and some good chemistry. And I see this team as like and near the top, like a home court advantage team in the playoffs. So we'll see.
Yeah, this team was tough. I have this circled here as one of mine, but just with question marks riddled all around it because I just don't know what to expect. I mean, you mentioned it, 51-31 2 years ago. They lose Ja, but the games that they had Ja last season, they were 6-3. They're, like you said, 21-52 or something without him. So that means, like, in the past 2 years when Ja's playing, they're a total 57-34. That's a great team. That's a really great team. Now, is this disparity like truly Jokic level disparity? Is he that good, or is it just two different teams? We don't know. But I love that one. That's a good one. That was like a stay away for me because
Well,
I just don't
it
know.
wasn't just his injury last year. Him, Smart, Jackson. Like
Yeah, Jackson.
they played more. I don't know the number, but they played more players last year than any other team by like a large, like
Yeah.
quite an order of magnitude. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I root for Ja, man. I want him to. He's so exciting and fun when he's when he's playing, first of all, and when he doesn't have these off the court issues, and when he's healthy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the pick that I'm like rooting for the Grizzlies to be good. So like I want to root for the pick, and that's -110 too.
Me
Same
too.
same odds as the first pick.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them too. And like you said, Marcus Smart on the team. When he got traded, we love that for him because we don't want to see him go, but we knew it kind of needed to happen for the Celtics. And seeing him on a gritty team like the Grizzlies is good. And like you said, Zach Edey right now leading odds for Rookie of the Year, so he could contribute in a big way too. I like that a lot. We're just out west. We're wild, wild west right now because I'm gonna stay out west too. A team that I like because of one reason, one fantastic reason. I'm putting all my chips in on this guy. I'm picking the Spurs over
Oh,
36 and a half wins.
it's on my list too, Luke. I got to pivot, but that's great. Tell me
Yeah.
why.
So it's Victor Wembanyama, obviously, is why. I think he is going to take such a leap with Chris Paul commanding that offense. I know Chris Paul can't do what he used to be able to do, but he's going to teach Wembanyama how to read the floor and how to be in the correct spots to best utilize his size, his athleticism. And I just think last year he mentioned in an interview that in the offseason that he was kind of just getting his feet wet and he was kind of learning about how to move around in the NBA. And in the preseason, he looks explosive, comfortable, and cocky. And with Greg Popovich still coaching that team, and then, like I said, Chris Paul being kind of the on-floor coach, I just think this team is gonna do a lot more damage than people think. And then they got some other good pieces around them too. But the odds on this are -115 for an over. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people believe in Wemby. I think that's why. And I'm putting 50, like I said, on it.
I agree. It's one of my picks. I love it because I mean, again, it's all about how good you think Wemby's going to be. How big is the leap going to be?
Right.
I think it's going to be massive. And, he was already so good as a rookie. But you said it, like the biggest thing is Chris Paul, which it's not really about how much he can do on the basketball court because obviously he's past his prime, but it's about his presence, the way that he can sort of mentor some of the younger guys on the roster, and about the fact that last year they lost a lot of games because they were just really experimental with some of these that like Jeremy Sohan like playing point guard. Like
Yeah.
it was just a very from Pop, I think like a very experimental season, trying to see what they had. This year, I think Wemby has proven that he's so good so fast that it would be irresponsible to sort of like play so fast and loose with it like they did last year. I think they're going to try to win some games. I don't know, but like that's my vibe too. And like you said, they got some other guys too, Harrison Barnes, and I don't hate their supporting cast. It's not the deepest team, obviously, but I think that it's a low win total, so I love it.
I think that
I'm
Victor
not going to steal it though
Wembanyama,
because I'll pick my own, but I agree with
you're
that pick.
secretly picking that. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I think that it's like, I think right now, if you're an NBA fan, you have to go one of two ways. You have to either be like, I don't know, I don't trust Wemby, could get hurt, long and lanky, or you have to be all in on him. I'm all in on him. And I think that he's going to be, I think within the next 3 years, I said this earlier in the pod before you came on, but I think that he is going to win both MVP and Defensive Player of the Year at some point in the next 3 years. I just truly believe
he's
he's
going to win
that
Defensive Player of the Year this year.
Exactly.
Probably.
I don't think people
so.
are going to win it as long as he's healthy. Yeah.
That's a great pick. Good job. Good job by you. All right, let's see. So I'm canceling out that pick. Let's see what I want to do here. I'm going over, under. So I will do an under now. So the odds on this changed since I picked it. Do I want to stick with what I had and just like take the juice on this? I had the Denver Nuggets under 51.5. It's gone down to 50.5.
Yeah.
Do I like that number as much? No. but
That
I'll
was
take it.
mine. I have, by the way, I also have Denver under 50.5. So,
Okay, so there we go. We've each stolen a
mhm.
pick from the other. So 50.5. All right, let's play. I'll take it because that's also juiced to the that's juiced to the over. So the under is even odds plus 100.
Yeah,
So I will take that plus 100 odds on 50.5. I had it at 51, but I think it still holds. The logic still holds. This one might be surprising. Obviously, this team won 57 games last year, and they have the best player like in the universe.
right.
Putting that aside, uh, why is this team 7 games worse or so? Because I think they're hovering around high 40s, maybe 50. Uh, just obviously looking at the supporting cast, like I just feel like we said this before. The West is better, and Jokic is awesome. He's so awesome. But if you really look under the hood of this team, there is like it's a mess, right? So they lost KCP to the Magic. They lost Reggie Jackson, the Sixers. Okay, they gained Russell Westbrook. We'll see how he fits in here.
Right.
I took a look at the very long shot odds for Russell Westbrook, sixth man of the year. And ultimately, yeah, had to look away. But I don't know. Russ could be good here. It could be a really interesting fit. I don't really know. But after that, like they've lost crucial rotation guys year after year. So this Nuggets team just isn't what they used to be after you look beyond Jokic and Murray.
Yeah.
Uh, and with Murray, I just don't know. Like he's proven himself to be so wildly inconsistent. Like for this team to really win in the mid 50s again, he will have to be like an all-star, right? He will have to be an all-star and a consistent all-star. You'll need much better play from Michael Porter Jr. But after that, it's a lot of like Christian Brown and Dario Saric and Julian Strawther and Peyton Watson and Zeke Naji. That's like literally the team.
Yeah.
So I look at it and I think like, yeah, sure, maybe they exceed this win total. It wouldn't surprise me really that much. But they're going to work really hard for it. And some of those supporting guys are going to have really good years. And like they're one injury away from just really spiraling. I think like if they lose Aaron Gordon or somebody, it's like,
Right.
just forget it
And there's
for even any extended time. Yeah.
there's only so much you can do in the dunker spot before teams understand what your scheme is and understand that you're just going to keep those guys. I mean, you don't have a lot of people who do anything off the dribble. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, these guys aren't necessarily off the dribble scorers. And like you said, Murray over the last 15 game sample size, including the Olympics, just hasn't looked right. He has
Well, the
nagging
Olympics
injuries
was a
every year.
disaster. Yeah.
Yeah, a disaster,
Totally.
right? So I'm
Yeah,
with you there. I'm with you.
and again, maybe I'm totally wrong on this. It's really more of a bet against Murray. It's certainly not a bet against Jokic. He's great,
No,
but in a deeper, better conference where like younger guys are getting better every year, like how good can he be? Like to lift this cast up again. I don't think this team's going to win 42 games. I think this team's going to win like 49 games, 48 games.
yeah.
I don't think they're going to be terrible, but I do think that they'll be in the mix of the middle of that playoff picture rather than right at the top of it again. And it probably won't matter because in the playoffs, Jokic will be crazy and the team will have some magic. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, like you said, it's also in the Western Conference, and it's just going to be harder to get wins. And if I see teams like the Kings, taking a step up, and some of these other teams, OKC, obviously, we'll talk about them beefing up. It's going to be harder for them to get to that 50 win total. There's only so many wins to go around, so I see that too. Jokic is still the best player in the league, so he'll probably average a triple double, and he'll be amazing. He'll get them a bunch of wins, but I'm with you on under 50. Okay, my next turn, I'm going to go, you did it too. I'm going to go over, under, over. I'm going to go with an under, and I'm going to go actually to the Eastern Conference this time, a team that, as a Celtics fan, we know not to trust. I'm going to go with the Sixers.
I know who this is already. Yeah, like before you said it, I was just going to guess it.
Sixers 50.5. I'm going under the 50.5 wins. Why? Well, Joel Embiid is the softest NBA player in the history of the NBA and has just come out publicly and said that he will not play back-to-back games. So you have him not playing back-to-back games. The Sixers have 15 games that are back-to-back. And then you have Paul George, who hyperextended his knee in the preseason. They say it's minor, but he's been having issues with his knees forever. If you're trying to tell me that he's going to miss a couple of weeks, then be healthy for the rest of the year, I'm not buying it. I love Tyrese Maxey, but he's not going to be able to keep them afloat. And then the age, you have all these players. Kyle Lowry's 38. You have some of these guys 36 years old, 34 years old. You just have a lot of old guys who you're going to be asking to hold a lot of water while Joel Embiid is sitting on the bench in street clothes and Paul George is sitting on the bench in street clothes and Tyrese Maxey is putting up 35 a game or trying.
Yeah.
And I just don't see that turning into a lot of wins. I see that turning into maybe a most improved for Tyrese Maxey. Like again, I just think
you can't win it twice, can you?
You just keep improving? Like just keep going up and win that every single year? Like I just don't trust it. I think they have a weak old backbone, and then they have two stars who are not only perennial injury prone, but they're also not great in the playoffs. Like I just don't trust. It's like a top heavy team that already said they're not going to be playing regular season games. So I just don't trust it.
Yeah, I agree with this one too. I didn't have it on my list, but I thought about it. Like you said, the case against them is because they get more talented. Obviously, Paul George is good, like when he's playing. But he's got whatever it was, bone bruise or something going on with him. He's
hyperextended knee.
Okay, he's already injured. He'll. How many games does he play this season? I don't know. If he plays 50 games, 50 something games, I think they're feeling good about that. And like you said with Joel, it is what it is at this point with him not doing back-to-backs. Again, he's a great player. He just won MVP. He's obviously great. It's just that availability is the best ability, right? I think you're right. This team's going to play a lot of lineups where it's like Maxey and the two guys are out.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think they're going to be good. I think if they're healthy in the playoffs, I don't really want to play them if I'm any other team in the East. But I agree with this. As a regular season team, there's so many teams in the East. I didn't pick these guys, but I just think the Knicks, we'll talk about them later. I'm sure we'll talk about them a lot all season. They weren't on my list here, but they got better. I think the Magic got better, whatever. Mm-hmm. I think the Sixers can't coast to 50 wins. So This is a good one.
Yeah, I just don't trust. I like Kelly Oubre, right? I like some of their pieces. I like, I don't like Caleb Martin, but he can shoot you out of a slump. But I think you're going to put a lot of heavy minutes on a lot of older guys, and then that's already 15 games checked off that Joel won't be there for. Plus let's say I'll go low, 10 more games he won't be there for because of nagging injuries. So yeah, I just don't see them getting to that total.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Let's see. I'm on an over, I think. So I like this one. Okay. So out West still, Phoenix Suns over 47.5.
That was one of mine.
This is one of my favorites, honestly. Maybe my favorite, maybe my biggest lock. Maybe I'll put more money on it. But let's see. So the Suns won 49 games last year. Obviously lost to the Timberwolves in the first round. Additions, they added Tyus Jones, Monte Morris, Mason Plumlee. They lost Drew Eubanks, Eric Gordon, Thad Young. But what's the biggest addition? Mike Budenholzer. All right, new coach, Coach Bud.
Yep.
I really like him for this team. I think that's a huge addition. So the biggest thing here is a change in coaching, which again, this team was atrocious last year defensively. Bud has coached up some great defenses, albeit with really much better defensive personnel, right? Obviously, Giannis and things like that. This team doesn't have that personnel, but can they get a little bit? Can they be even semi-respectable defensively? And then can he maximize or optimize this offense? Which we've got these three guys who can score from anywhere. And the other question is the addition of Tyus Jones and to a lesser extent Monte Morris. I think that Booker was playing out of position a lot last year. They really didn't have a point guard at all. These guys that they added, Tyus Jones, he's never been a starter, but he's a high assist to turnover ratio guy. Can he run this offense, distribute a little bit, function as a more traditional point guard and score because he can score it as well?
Right.
But they're deeper. It means that if you're starting Tyus Jones, you have a bench. That was the other thing about Phoenix last year. They had no bench, right?
Right.
So you've got guys like Grayson Allen coming off the bench and Morris coming off the bench and Plumlee and things like that. So they got deeper and they got so dragged last year. And yes, it was disappointing that they lost in the first round, but I was surprised. I had forgotten they won 49 games. Their reputation would sort of suggest that they won fewer than that. And this win total is 47.5. It just feels like, yeah, they're sailing over that this year. I don't know. I could be burned again, but because obviously this team has not proven that they can win consistently. But yeah, I just think the additions of Coach Bud and also some of these guards and a deeper bench is going to make this team better.
Yeah, I like that. I like that pick a lot. Okay, my last one is going to be a surprise to a lot of people. Do you know what it is?
Well, I have it as my last pick too. If it's the same.
Okay, well, I'm
doing it at the same time.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Celtics
under
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Celtics under. Celtics under 58.5.
We both have it, Luke. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's crazy. And especially as our
Can we
last one.
share this one?
Let's share
this
it.
one?
We'll share this one. We'll share it because hopefully we're both just wrong on this one and the Celtics win 82 games this year. But 58.5 is high for a win total where I know we won over 60 games last year, but you have Kristaps Porzingis missing a good portion. I almost hope a larger portion than expected, just because I want to get him 100% healthy for the playoffs. We can afford that. Unlike the Sixers, you can't afford to lose, a player like that. We can afford to have him sit and get healthy for the playoffs. But yeah, teams are going to be gunning for us. We have a target on our back. A lot of teams in the East have specifically molded their teams to play well against us, i.e. the Knicks and a lot of other teams. We have kind of dominated last season in the playoffs. And I just think that every night, whether it's the Pistons, the Knicks, or the Mavs, or whoever we're playing, there's going to be an added juice to beat us. And that's what happens every single year when you win the championship. You got a target on your back. And like I said, I think that Tatum is going to, hopefully take a scoring leap. I think he's going to get back near that 30 points per game with Kristaps out. But I just think that over the course, missing Kristaps, having more minutes, Al's a little bit older, having more minutes with Kada and Cornette, who don't really stretch the floor, don't really open it as much. We'll be playing smaller lineups. Tillman probably will get a lot of minutes. 58 I think we'll probably be around 55, 56, 57 wins maybe. 58.5. I'm just taking the under on that.
Yeah, same logic as you. I think you can't just pencil this team in for 60 wins. I mean, like they're great. Obviously, the Celtics last year, historically efficient offense, great, like top three in both offense and defensive efficiency, all that stuff. I don't think that'll really change. The Porzingis thing will be difficult because everyone always cites, I think it was like 21-3 without Porzingis, some crazy number.
Right.
So we'll be fine when he's out. Well, there's a difference between, having a good record when a guy goes out versus starting without one of your foundational players. And what made the Celtics really special was in part the presence of someone like Porzingis and that 5-out spacing and all that stuff. Cornette's awesome. We like him. He's a favorite. But how does the Cornette experience look night in and night out as a starter? And then what happens because Cornette's not always available. What happens when he goes down? I mean, then you're really digging deep into the war chest with Tillman's going to play a lot, but with guys like Tillman and stuff like that to round out this rotation. I expect that, especially when Porzingis is gone, we'll see guys like Jordan Walsh. I'm surprised we waived Lonnie Walker. That's a different conversation, but I thought he was going to play.
Well, that was for tax reasons.
That was for tax reasons.
It just was too much money, yeah.
But yeah, it just is, again, this is not a hard under. I think that they're in the high 50s, whatever. It feels like 57, 56, but 50 is just too high. It really is. It's too much to expect from this team. It's not like we think any significant player is going to take a step back or anything like that. It's more of a health thing. And like you said, an age thing, because for me, it's the biggest risk with, Porzingis missing, half the season or whatever he's going to miss is, do we play Al Horford too much? Does Drew Holiday get too much run? These are not young gentlemen. So we need to rest those guys, but also do we have the luxury of resting them? And what happens when we do? We're going to lose some games. So I think this team can compete for a title without winning 60 games this year. I was
going to say, that's the other thing. Especially, I just think this team, if we do get Kristaps healthy in the playoffs, it won't matter home court as much. This team has been great on the road historically in the playoffs. We've been better on the road almost than we have at home. We obviously know about the Celtics home woes in the playoffs, but yeah, I think it's a combination of that. And then you mentioned about the center. What did we see in the playoffs last year? Jason Tatum, defensively at least, rotated onto a lot of the centers. He played on Lively a lot. He played on Mobley in the Cavs series a lot. He was switched on to Bam a lot in the Heat series. So yeah, it's just one of those things where we're going to have to. Do you
really want to give him those assignments throughout the regular season? I don't know.
Right. That's the question.
Yeah, it's one thing to do it in the playoffs, and obviously he was great in that role, but that's a very, I feel like final specific or playoff specific task for him. I mean, he can defend almost anyone, which is cool, but we just, I don't know. I think it's more about preparation and rest. And I think this team obviously has bigger goals,
right?
So they're not going to be we really need to,
we need to. What we need to do is we need to sign a veteran we need to get another big man. We need just a little bit more shooting, especially in our front court. If we can get that, then I think that we will get over 58.5. But I just yeah, I'm with you on this.
Can I ask you, can I put you on the spot?
Yeah.
So well, two questions, like, so we don't have to dwell on this. We'll talk about it for 1 second. Do you think that the Celtics will have the 1 seed in the East? And if not, who?
I do think the Celtics will have the 1 seed in the East because the other options are the Knicks, obviously, but the Knicks are a way different team than they were last year. I understand that they got more talent, but they lost a lot of bench. They lost a lot of their identity with the players. I mean, you get Hartenstein gone, you have Randall gone, you have DiVincenzo gone. Those are guys that really were part of the identity and part of the heart of that team. And then you have like Mikal Bridges, his jump shot looks broken. He went 0 for 10. He shot 12% in the preseason from 3, and he shot a considerable amount of threes. I just don't know if I think they will eventually get it together, but I'm just not totally sure. I don't know. I could see them dropping more games. And then the Sixers, we already talked about them. I think they're going low on wins. And then you look at maybe the Cavs, the Magic are going to be really good. The Heat always are kind of right there.
The Bucks, I think the Bucks will be better.
I think the Bucks are going to be better, but again, they're a little bit slow and big. But I think Giannis is going to. I think Giannis is second in my MVP voting if I had a list. But yeah, I just think that I think the Celtics still will, but I think the East, the win shares will be kind of spread out a little bit more than they were last year.
I could see. We'll have this conversation in greater depth later, but I could see the Knicks having the 1 seed. I'm higher. I think I'm way higher on them than you are. But
I'm high on them. Hope's Hotel just was out, and the Knicks were in a suite. They're up there. They're in the
suite.
They're in the upper echelon of teams. Whenever you take away 3 key players and add, one player who sometimes averages 25 points on 21 shots
they added
a game.
Bridges is a key player. I think we'll see how.
True. Yeah.
But he's a good player. A really good player. He's going to be central to that team. Anyway, we'll talk more about the Knicks later. But
yeah,
let's switch over and pick. So those are all of our totals.
Yep, those are the totals.
Why don't you quickly review your totals and I'll do the same.
Okay. So for mine, I have the Kings over 46.5 wins. That's at plus 100 odds. I have the Mavs under 49.5 wins. That's at plus 100 odds. I have the Spurs over 36.5 wins. That's minus 115 odds. I have the Sixers under 50.5 wins. That's minus 120. And then I have the Celtics, our Boston Celtics champion 2024. Just got to say that. Under 58.5 wins at minus 110.
Okay. I had the Atlanta Hawks under 36.5. Boston Celtics under 58.5, Denver Nuggets under 50.5, Grizzlies over 47.5, and the Suns over 47.5 as well.
I like those. I like all of our
picks. I think we did good.
Those are good ones. Okay, so those are our over-unders for win totals for the teams. Like we said to start out, it kind of accurate. Vegas kind of did pretty good. I none of those I feel super heavy on. I don't think they were, I think they'll miss by a few games here and there. All right, let's move on. We got 3 more picks to do for futures. We're going to do MVP. We're going to do a pick of our own. We get to choose. And then the last pick, we'll end with just who we think is going to win it all next June. So let's do MVP. I went first on the win totals. Timmy, KGB, who do you have hoisting the MVP trophy next year?
I wondered if we picked the same person here. All right, so just making sure I got the odds right. All right, regular season MVP, I am going to go with not Luka Doncic. I'm going to go with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Nice.
Is that crazy? Now, here's my logic. It's very simple logic. I think the Thunder are going to win the most games of any team this year. I think they are going to be the best team. We didn't talk about them with win totals. Their win totals just really high, but I could have easily gone over with them too. I love this roster. I really love what they did in the offseason. They were already one of the best teams in the league last year. The addition of Caruso, of Hartenstein, it's just magical. I think this team's gonna be great. And Shai is gonna obviously be the best player on this team. I think he's gonna have the numbers to back up an MVP season. I think it'll be one of those years because going down the list, it's like, if I think the Nuggets are going to take a big step back in terms of wins, as good as Jokic is, if we have wins in the mid 60s, or low 60s, which I think the Thunder will be right there, then, I think that in some ways this is going to be like the best guy on the best team is going to win. Now, the Luka thing, again, you went under on the Mavs. I could see it going either way, but when I look at it, I don't trust that team as much as I do the Thunder. I just think
Yeah.
there's going to be dominance, in a way, I'm not going to say in a way that the Celtics dominated last year, because who knows, but where there wasn't a clear MVP choice on the Celtics in the eyes of the league, there is on the Thunder. So I don't know. I see it playing out this way where the Thunder just roll. It's their year. They roll all year, and Shea is the sort of obvious MVP by the end of it. But I could be wrong. He's got the third highest odds at plus 425.
Yep.
I like it. I think that's really it.
Well, look, I had SGA, and then
You had him too. I thought you might. Yeah.
but I ended up scratching him out. And
Oh.
and I kind of because of the odds. I like the plus 425, but I want to take a little bit of sweeter taste. I want a little bit of a sweeter
you're
taste
going
for my odds
deeper.
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the deal. SGA, all the reasons you said. He's the clear best player on the team. They got Hartenstein, they got Caruso. Lou Dort is going to be better. Jalen Williams is going to be better. That team is going to be great. I think
They're
so deep. And they're going to win a ton of games. We already talked about that. And for that reason, and with SGA being the clear best player on that team, and not only, obviously, you mentioned the Celtics. Tatum is the clear best player on the Celtics, but meaning more of there's so much talent on the Celtics. So it was harder for him to get that MVP. I think that the SGA is probably the safer bet, but I'm not a safe guy. I like to live dangerously. I'm going with somebody who's been ignored for too long. And I'm going to go with Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ignored with multiple MVPs.
No, but lately,
I get it.
They don't get Christmas games. Yeah. They are 2 straight years out of the first round. He's been in trade talks. They get Dame in. They say they have Doc, a bunch of coach fired. You have Budenholzer fired. Then you just have a lot of rollover with coaching there. So there's just been a lot of turmoil, and because of that, he hasn't been at the front. People are talking about Embiid, SGA, Jokic, Anthony Edwards, Tatum. That has been the core 5 guys. And I feel like Giannis has been getting lost in the weeds. He's mad. And I think we're going to see, obviously barring any injuries, but I think we're going to see a motivated, angry Giannis. And although I think the Celtics will be the number 1 seed, I think Giannis will lead them to the number 2 seed. I think the Knicks will fall about in the 3rd seed. And I think Giannis will prove that he is. He had that best player in the world trophy for about 2 months, and then Jokic took it from him. And I think he's going to maybe not take it back from Jokic necessarily, but I think he's going to have a winning season in the East, and I just think he's going to go absolutely nuts. And I like the odds a little bit more, plus 800 here. So that's pretty good for a guy who, a blink away was the best player in the league, and we thought he was going to be for the next 10 years. At plus 800 for MVP, I did flirt with the Jason Tatum odds, because look,
it'd be great.
KP's out. I do think he's going to average about 30 this year because we'll need more scoring from him. And I think that we're going to be a high win team in the East. We'll probably get the number 1 seed again. And it's hard to ignore that. We've seen his passing improve. Tatum's passing has improved insanely, his rebounding, obviously, and his defensive prowess. So if he can average 39 and 7 or 8, I mean, that's an MVP season. So, and we get the number 1 seed, but I'm going with Giannis for the plus 800 on my MVP odds.
Yeah, that's cool. I like it. The Bucks will stay away for me, in general, across the board. I looked at their win total. I looked at this. I was because I expected them to be way better last year, obviously, as a lot of us did, but I could see it going that way. I think to win it, the Bucks would have to be the best team in the East. I think they, But you're right. I think that there's been a couple years where Giannis has sort of been outside of that MVP conversation. Can he get back in it? I think there's definitely a chance of it. I kind of thought actually, I don't know why I thought you were going to say this, because you haven't necessarily always been vocally in support of this guy. But I kind of, the one I looked at was Edwards with longer odds.
No,
I know. Yeah. But here's the thing with that one. Well, again, it's about then what the narrative of the season is going to be. You're sort of thinking about it. We didn't talk about the Timberwolves with either of our win totals, but that's another team that I could see having a real FU season, especially after the trade. And I'm a bigger Randall fan than I think most people are. I think
Yeah.
he's going to fit in this team a little bit better than people think. They got tougher, like with Randall, DiVincenzo, like
Oh
already
my
with
God.
the yap, and I kind of, and obviously Edwards has that, that energy to him, but like I could see a version of this league where it's actually the Timberwolves that are sort of at the top of the heap too. I do like. I think weirdly both. I would say the Timberwolves got better from a talent perspective after the cat trade, but I don't know. I could see it being a sort of weirdly a nobody believes in us season, even though they made it so far, and even though that everyone's in love with Edwards. I think this could be a big breakout for him. But ultimately, went with the safer bet with Shea.
Yeah, I
So
think that the Edwards
yeah,
pick is interesting because it is a media award. You're right. And the media has been
yeah,
obsessed with Anthony Edwards. They love his attitude. And, it's hard not to love his attitude. But, in the same breath, we just don't know what the Timberwolves are going to look like. They did get tougher, but they did lose some offense. You have Randall, his offensive production is not catch and shoot. He will dribble for 15 seconds, and that's your whole
yeah.
offensive possession. So, and also Anthony Edwards, if you look at the shooting splits, he's not that great off the dribble. He's more an off the catch kind of shooter. So we'll see maybe if him and DiVincenzo can get going. DiVincenzo is a good bid for 6 man of the year. I don't know what your
Yeah.
pick'em is,
I looked at it.
but he's a good bid for that. I like those picks though. SGA. I just went with Giannis because even if they get the number 2 seed behind the Celtics, everybody is talking about the Celtics, the Knicks, the Sixers, that like those teams, and the Bucks. I
Yeah,
just
they're
feel
sort
like
of writing the Bucks off. Yeah,
and if the Bucks were to get the 2nd seed, surpass the Knicks, surpass the Sixers, and Giannis is averaging like 33, 10, and 5, like, it's going to be hard to ignore. And then I like the plus 800 on that. Okay, great. So we got the MVPs, SGA or Giannis. I like that we picked one in the West and one in the East. That's pretty good. Okay, so now let's do our wild card one. We get to kind of pick any future that we want between the two of us. You went first with the MVP. I'm going to go first with Coach of the Year is what I'm going to do.
Oh, I
Coach
like
of the
it.
Year, Mazzulla, Joe Mazzulla.
Ah,
1100.
it's a great pick. It's a great
Plus,
pick.
he's plus 1100. Those odds are incredible. I'm going to put $100 for plus 1100 on him. And look, the Celtics are going to be the best team in the East, probably. I think that, like I said, I think Tatum will cover some more scoring load, but Mazzulla ball has become a phrase that people say. That is a thing. People call it Mazzulla ball. He went from second row Joe to Mazzulla ball, and he has coached this team in every asset or every facet, especially mentally. He's gotten all of these people together, and they trust him. They trust each other. The chemistry is incredible, and I think this is all, it's all because of Mazzulla. And I think he'll have a ton of quotes about some weird philosophical stuff. We'll probably go through a little slump, and he'll have these things, and then I just think I can see him gaining a lot of traction fresh off of the finals win and everybody using this term Mazzulla ball. And I think that I think that he gets over the hump and he gets Coach of the Year, which would be well deserved. I was not hot on him when he first became the Celtics coach, but he has been better than I thought he could be. Better than Ime was, in my opinion, because he's just managed these personalities and this talent. It's been less about scheme, and it's been more about managing these high profile personalities.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Joe obviously, like last season proved he's an elite coach. You're right. I think these are good. This is a good number. I mean, again, Celtics are gonna have to win a lot of games for this to happen, but he might get that residual love from last season. I forget exactly what his where he finished in Coach of the Year voting, but it wasn't as high as it should have been. And
Agreed.
he lest we forget, like you said, he came in to a really difficult situation with very little experience after the Ime thing. And he has surpassed everyone's expectations. A lot of us, not huge Joe fans in the beginning. He's a super weird guy. I think
Really
people
weird.
have embraced that weirdness. Obviously, he's like a great personality coach. He's friends with these players. We love Joe. It's a good pick because again, you would think that his odds would be a little higher coming off a championship season, and you have heard in a lot of sports journalism, just like the narrative has really changed on him. He has a lot more respect than he used to. I have, obviously, because he's earned it. I like that. I looked at it. I looked at Coach of the Year. To me, the best value by far in any of these other categories was most improved player.
Okay.
And I mean, we talked about the Spurs, but I'm going with Wemby. Like,
Yeah.
his odds are plus 700. He is the favorite at plus 700. But so the reason here is obviously we think he's going to improve vastly from his rookie season, which was, again, already really strong. We think the Spurs are going to be better. We think he's going to be better. I would not be, and this is going to sound like a total overreach. I would not be surprised if he was like a second team All NBA guy.
Yeah.
I know that sounds crazy. Maybe we're too high on Wemby, but the real reason I picked this, like back in the day, I was trying to look up the year. Like people who won Most Improved, like we're not necessarily superstars, right? Like the Ryan Andersons of the world, and like yada yada. But for the past few seasons, like stars have won this award. So it's a person. It tends to be a person who like comes into stardom, like Maxey last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or we had John Morant win it a couple of years ago, right? So Brandon Ingram won it. Like I wouldn't call him a star necessarily. Giannis won it, for God's sake.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah.
So the award doesn't really mean what it used to mean, like back when like Ersan Ilyasova won it, people like that.
Right.
So it kind of means like you're a new star, and like Wemby's already a star, but I think that he fits the profile of the type of person who wins this award. And when I logged on to see the odds, I just expected it to be closer to like 200 or 300. Honestly, I was shocked when I saw plus 700. I was
700.
Like, this seems like I'm betting this one all over the place. So I just believe in him, and also that the team got better. So that's sort of what needs to happen. So that was clearly my favorite. I also liked there was a crazy one on DraftKings that said it was I think it was plus 900 for Bronny James to have 20 plus points in any game this year.
Whoa.
And I was like, ooh, I want that. I mostly wanted to talk about it, but I'm not I think you'd have to be a real sicko to gamble on that.
He would.
Yeah, but so I stayed away. But
I mean, hey,
that made me laugh out loud.
Maybe a Pistons game they're playing, and I don't know, they got LeBron and AD are sitting, and he scored 17 in a preseason game recently. So
hey, there you go.
He could maybe do it. That might be something to lay money on. Yeah, the Wemby thing is
Make
so
Daddy proud.
Yeah, right. You see that, Dad? You see that one, Dad? The Wemby thing is interesting because we've talked about him a lot on this pod, but I mean, like, what are the odds that he wins Most Improved, Defensive Player of the Year, and MVP? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, he's not going to win MVP, but
no, but
yeah, that's actually, Luke, you're right. That's the one thing that made me think twice. It's just like, well, he's by far the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
He has minus odds. So I was like, yeah, he's going to win both of these, but I didn't like who else is on this list. Let's just really quickly look. But the other guys, so Jalen Williams, at 10-1 odds. I could see that. Mobley, I didn't like that necessarily. Jalen Johnson, and then you got Kuminga, Giddey. I don't see. I really don't.
Well, I was actually when I was looking at these, I liked it's long, but I like the Jonathan Kuminga Most Improved, just because they're gonna need him. The Warriors, like, they will need that. I talked about this earlier in my section of the pod, but they need Kuminga. Kuminga needs to make that leap. They want him to be a second option behind Steph. They've been talking about it for years. They need him to make that leap. There's just a chance.
But the leap would have to be pretty sizable.
It would have to
given who tends to win the award. Like, I think Kuminga more fits like the older model of what the award used to mean.
True. But they
like
could
a supporting guy who like sort of becomes, a little bit more than that. But anyway, I like both of our picks though for these. I like that, we didn't go with Luka for MVP, and we went with some interesting ones, I think, for these. So, but let's get to the big show, the big show. So who's going to win everything? That's why we do it. Right?
This is why we do it. This is why we play. Of course, the Boston Celtics.
Can we make a rule you can't pick the Celtics? I mean, I don't know if either of us, because like I think we both want to. It's like so lame.
Well, let's just say this. I picked the Celtics.
Did you pick the Celtics? Okay. I'm willing to not pick the Celtics.
Okay. I picked the Celtics, and I picked the Celtics to repeat. Look, I think that it has been 6 seasons since a team has repeated in the NBA. 6. A lot of parity around the league right now. And the Celtics are that good. They're that talented. They have that much experience under their belt, and they have that much chemistry. There's a lot of teams that got better on paper, but there's not a lot of teams that have been playing as many games as the Celtics have played together and in as many battles. I think we're going to have a tougher playoff road, obviously, hopefully, with more health around the East. But I don't know. The Mavs were completely healthy. Everybody picked the Mavs, and we beat them 5-1, and it wasn't really close. That game 4, I think it was a throwaway to win in Boston, honestly. So if we stay healthy and we get Porzingis back for the playoffs, and we've seen that even without him, we don't need him, but I found it tough to pick anybody else. The odds aren't good. It's obviously they're the heavy favorites, but they're my C's, and I want to go back to back. So I'm just putting a little bit of love into the ether.
Okay. I like it. Obviously, I think they're going to win too. I mean, I don't like really know, but I think they have a really great shot at repeating it. No one repeats though. So who knows? I wanted to pick them, but I'm willing to go somewhere else just to be weird with it. Like the question is, and I'm doing this on the fly. Do I put all my eggs in the Thunder basket? That's plus 650. I'm just going to go with a longer shot. Okay, I'm just doing it. And this isn't exactly who I think is going to win. I just like the odds, and I could see it happening as one of scenarios. I'm gonna bet the Timberwolves at 10-1.
I knew you were going to.
But again, I don't think the Timberwolves are going to win necessarily, but I could see it. I really could. The case is Edwards takes a massive leap, and the team just has that FU energy the whole season. I think that the weakness, because you're right, the Cat trade, they lost more talent than they brought in. That's just obvious. But in the playoffs, I don't know. I kind of like the personnel they brought in.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily if Randall's obviously not healthy, whatever, who knows? But I don't know. I think this team has a taste. Got a little taste of it. Got some experience, and I could see it. So I like that at those odds. So 10-1. I'm not going to put a lot on that. I'm going to make it a smaller one. But I'll take the Wolves.
Look, that's brave of you, sir, and
it is brave.
I wish you the best of luck, because that's not happening. I don't think. I think. Yeah. I just think there's too much in the West, and the advantage for the Celtics and my Celtics pick is whoever comes out of the West, like last year, is going to go through a gauntlet to get there. And we saw last year Anthony Edwards kind of ran out of steam in the Western Conference Finals. That's one more year. He's going to have to take on a larger scoring load with Cat out for the rest of the regular season. So he's going to be more involved there. And then, of course, going into the playoffs, if they make it out of the West, it's just going to be, he's going to have to beat Luka. He's going to have to beat Jokic. He's going to have to beat SGA. He's going to have to beat at least a couple of those guys. And that's going to take.
Like he hasn't beaten some of those guys before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Cat was a big part of a lot of those games. Cat was a big part of that Game 7 comeback against we forget the Nuggets were up 20 points in that Game 7, and Cat shot amazing and shot them out of that hole. So
not so much in the Dallas series.
Yeah. I think that the thing about the Timberwolves is just that he's young, and it's a lot to ask with that team.
Yeah.
But I like the odds on it at least. So
it's a long shot.
Sweet. Well, I love those picks. I love the futures. I am so excited for the NBA season to start. We've been waiting for so long, and we talked about it. The Celtics having a target on their back. It's going to be fun. These teams are going to come in every game that we have for the Celtics. These teams are going to want to take down the champs. Even if you're a Pistons squad that are, 5-25 coming in, you're going to want to hang your hat on a win against this team. So there's no nights off for this team. I know that Jaylen Brown said, when they play the Pistons, they're going to run through Pritchard and he's going to score 30.
Disrespect.
That was a so I think watch anybody out there, if you see on the calendar, Celtics are playing the Pistons, I'm not going to watch because I think Cade Cunningham and those guys are going to take that personal.
They will. I'll definitely be circling that game. Are you kidding? That'll be great.
Absolutely. And the Pistons fans, we know how the Pistons fans can be. So when the Boston Celtics go to Detroit, watch out.
Not a fan base you want to anger.
Not a Malice in the Palace.
Throw haymakers, dude.
Maybe. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Anyway, man. Well, these are good over-unders, good MVP picks. I like your pick for most improved. I really like Missoula's odds on plus 1,100. And then Celtics repeat, and you got Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves repeating. So I love it.
I don't really have that, but I said it.
Yeah. As soon as you said it. Yeah.
This isn't my gambling philosophy. I just do things and I'm like, why'd I do that?
Why'd I do that? Well,
I'm going to make it a tiny taste, just a tiny taste.
All right, man. Well, sweet. Good talking. And we'll be back probably next week to recap this first week for the Celtics and kind of the first dipping the toe into the water for the rest of the NBA. I'm excited to see what the teams look like.
I'm happy to be back, man.
Yeah. All right, dude.
Yeah.
Peace. All right.
that is the end of the episode. Of course, like I do with every episode, we're going to take a look forward in the week to see what the Celtics have for slate of games, along with some notable games. This is opening week in the NBA. Exciting stuff. NBA season is finally back. I'm so excited. Obviously, like I said, Tuesday, October 22nd, 7:30 on TNT. Ring ceremony, banner ceremony. New York Knicks come to Boston. Potential Eastern Conference Finals match? I don't know. I'm super excited for it. Tickets were about $1,500 a pop, so I didn't get a ticket for this. Also, on that night, Minnesota Timberwolves at LA Lakers. LeBron, Anthony Edwards. It's going to be a fun one. In La La Land, 10 o'clock on TNT. And then as you move through the week, the Celtics also play the Wizards on Thursday. And then the Celtics also on Saturday play the Detroit Pistons. Also meh. So start off with a bang and then a couple of duds. But some other good games to look forward to. You got the Bucks at Philadelphia. That's on Wednesday. You also have Phoenix at the Clippers. That is also on Wednesday. On Thursday, you have OKC at Denver, potential Western Conference Finals match. SGA versus Jokic should be fun. And then one I'm looking forward to is Minnesota versus the Kings. I told you I was high on the Kings. Minnesota at the Kings. That'll be a fun one. And then a couple fun ones also. Rematch of the Eastern Conference semifinals last year on Friday. The Indiana Pacers at New York. Can they keep up that hot shooting streak? That'll be great. Revenge for the Knicks maybe. And then other than that, we just have some pretty good matchups here and there. Let's see. What's another one? Cleveland at New York Knicks. That should be pretty fun. And then Monday, Boston, Milwaukee comes to town, right? Milwaukee trying to say who's the big brother in this situation. So that should be a fun game too. All right. Well, that's it for this episode of The Dribble. I hope you learned something. I hope you listened to a little bit of it. But tune in next week. We'll be recapping this past week and looking a little bit further into the Celtics and what we can expect. Peace. Oh, wait. Thanks for listening, because this has been The Dribble. I don't know. I messed up that outro, but just cue the outro.
Banner number 18 has been secured. The Celtics are